It's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives of families of critically ill patients in intensive care, so that you can have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is a special update as 2 weeks ago the Ontario College of Physicians and Surgeons gave final approval to its planning for and providing quality end-of-life care policy. Professor Thaddeus Pope, who is a medical futility lawyer in the United States, has posted these news on his blog at medicalfutilityblogspot.com only in the last 24 hours. Finally, the rights of families in intensive care when it comes to decision making in real or perceived end-of-life situations are heard, and finally doctors in intensive care need to consult with families before issuing an NFR, not for resuscitation, or DNR, do not resuscitate order. Unfortunately, this is only in Canada and only in the province of Ontario. However, this is a start, and hopefully other states in the US and Canada will follow. I also hope that laws and perceptions will change in the UK and Australia as well, where way too much power lies with the intensive care to issue NFR, not for resuscitation, or DNR, do not resuscitate orders. There is way too much of the perception in intensive care that only doctors know what is best, or quote unquote what is in the best interest of a critically ill patient in intensive care, especially in real or perceived end-of-life situations. Let's get into the meat of what Professor Pope blogged about yesterday on his blog medicalfutilityblogspot.com. So, he writes, 2 weeks ago, the Ontario College of Physicians and Surgeons gave final approval to its planning for and providing quality end-of-life care policy. Section 5.2 concerns potentially life-saving and life-sustaining treatment. 3 paragraphs are of note. First paragraph. A decision regarding a no CPR order cannot be made unilaterally by the physician. Where a physician is of the opinion that CPR should not be provided for a patient and that a no CPR order should be written in the patient's record, the college requires physicians to discuss this with the patient and or substitute decision maker at the earliest and most appropriate opportunity, and to explain why CPR is not being proposed. This discussion must occur before a no CPR order can be written. If the patient or substitute decision maker disagrees and insists that CPR be provided, physicians must engage in the conflict resolution process as outlined in Section 8 of this policy, which may include an application to the Consent and Capacity Board. Physicians must allow the patient or substitute decision maker a reasonable amount of time to disagree before a no CPR order can be written. While the conflict resolution process is underway, if an event requiring CPR occurs, physicians must provide CPR. By doing so, physicians must act in good faith and use their professional judgment to determine how long to continue providing CPR. Over at the Healthcare Consent Quality Collaborative, they are scratching their heads, trying to make sense of the actions that are now required of Ontario physicians. In particular, the final paragraph instructs physicians to begin CPR. For example, disregard their clinical judgment about the ineffectiveness of such an action, but then only provide CPR for a period of time considered appropriate by use of the same professional judgment. I have also interviewed Professor Pope on 2 separate occasions on my podcast. You can listen to the interviews if you're clicking on the links below this video. So, how can you get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of peace of mind, control, power and influence when you Download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn quickly how to get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact Report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care, and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind-the-scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care, and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog, and I'll see you again in another update next week. Make sure you also check out our Your Questions Answered section where I answer your questions, or send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call us. Find our international phone numbers on our contact tab. Also check out our product section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one consulting with me via Skype or over the phone by clicking on the products tab. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.